All right, guys, so let's get going here. We're going to start adding to our college app that you built yesterday. Yesterday, just kind of to review what we did just before we get going forward on the new stuff. Again, so we coded yesterday. You created an app. You should have 4 colleges, and then the videos yesterday took you through. Excuse me, not the video yesterday. The MVP number one. Again, this would be the solution to that in terms of how to add the information in. So just like the to-do list, you have your array of colleges. You've got your sections at one. You got to use your array colleges.count. Again, you might have called yours something different, and then you got to configure that down below here. Okay, so again, we're not going to spend too much time reviewing that because the goal today is we want to give the user the ability to type new information into their table. All right, so we're going to use something called an alert controller. So what that looks like, so here I just got kind of a dummy app set up here. So when I press this button, this thing that pops up is called an alert view, or excuse me, an alert controller. Okay, so basically kind of alerts the user that, hey, you need to do something. So on this one, we got some text here. I'll show you how you can change that up. We're going to add a text field so that way you can type something in there. And then in our app, we're going to have the ability to press this button down here, and then it's going to show up, the new college will show up in our view. Okay, so what we're going to do here, so to get going with that, we're going to do a couple new steps here to make that happen. All right, so we're going to start today out in our storyboard. All right, and if you haven't, I added a title to our college list. Feel free to add that if you'd like. But the first thing is we need to add a button to this navigation bar that the user can press to add an item. So to do that, let's search for something called a bar button item, and it's going to be the first thing that comes up here. And this is basically, as it says here, it's for a navigation item object. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to drag this up into our navigation bar, and it kind of gives you a clue that, hey, you can put this up here. So let's go ahead and throw this on the right side, and then we're going to do a little changing of it. So with that still selected, click on our attributes inspector, and let's go to the system item here. And they've got these different kind of stock images you can set the button to. So if you click on some of them, all right, again, if you are an iPhone user, you might recognize some of the buttons because these are commonly used, within an iPhone. All right, so we're going to use the add option. That gives a nice little plus sign there. So, again, it's just a little kind of more professional way to do it and pretty easy to do. Okay, so that's the first thing I want us to do on here. All right, and the next thing we need to do is we got to hook up some connections here because we're going to be, communicating with our storyboard with the code to make some things happen. So let's go split view. All right, so we're in our table view. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this connection, this action, we're going to go between view did load and then our table view methods that we put in here. So I'm going to control drag into this space here. Do not put it in view did load, put it below view did load above the table views right in this little blank space here. We're going to let go. We're going to make it an action, and we'll just call it a add button pressed. All right, let's go ahead and connect that. Okay, while we are here, let's go ahead. We need to make a connection for our table view. So we're going to control drag from the table view to here. And then let's go ahead and make sure it says UI table view, and we can just call this college table view. All right, and go ahead and connect that. All right, so those are the two connections that we need. All right, so let's go ahead. We can come back to full screen. And then we can go right into our code because we're going to do most of the rest of this video will be in here before we run it and check this thing out here. Okay, so to make that alert controller that you saw in our first that little dummy app that I had here, we got to do a couple steps. So the first thing I want you to do is create a constant and call it alert controller. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and configure our alert controller with the stuff we type after the equal sign. So we're going to type out the UI alert controller. All right, we're going to go ahead and, as it says there, an object that displays an alert message to the user. So go ahead and bring that one up, and then go ahead and just type in a parenthesis. When you do that, you're going to get some methods that we can type in here. We're going to go down to the third one here, and it says it creates and returns a view controller for displaying an alert to the user. So we want that. Hit enter on it, and it kind of gives you a template, and it just kind of guides you through what we need to fill in. Okay, so the title, if you remember back to that one when we opened up in class and where it said hey, that's what goes here. All right, so you can type anything here. Obviously, it could be a description, but we can we'll just say something like add new college. Okay, so that's kind of descriptive there, and then we can say type new college below. All right, so that's kind of the title, and then this is some direction for them. And then let's tab over to the preferred style and just hit enter, and then it's going to kind of autocomplete that, and then we will go dot alert. Okay, so that is just the style of the alert controller we're going to use. Okay, so that's part number one. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is let's get that text field on here. Okay, so we've got an alert controller created. Now we got to add stuff to it and make it work. So we'll deal first with the text field. So let's go alert controller dot add text field. All right, so just type that out a little bit more to narrow it down. This is the one we are going to work with. Okay, so now we got something called a configuration handler. So what we need to do is, again, it should kind of, when you hit enter on that method, it should kind of highlight here for you. Hit return, and then it kind of completes it. And again, like before, we just have to kind of tab into a couple different fields, but it's got the layout for us. So in this first one here, all right, when we go, let's go ahead and type in the word text field. Okay, and what this is here, let me just click off that. Oops. All right, so when you click over that, I was going to see if there's any documentation. There's not. Basically, this is just, we're telling it that we're going to work with a text field, and then we're going to kind of have a code block here, some things to do. Okay, so in this one, we're just going to go ahead and enter in the placeholder text of this text field. So we're going to go text field dot placeholder, and that's going to be equal to, you can just type in maybe college goes here, or type in college name here. Kind of a repeat of the direction above there, but just something to practice out so you can see how that works. Okay, so that's the first part. All right, so again, we're working on adding a text field to the alert controller. Okay, so let's enter down. So again, when we did add this text field, we have a curly brace here and here, so we want to make sure we're below that one, all right, not inside of it. All right, so double check before you start typing the next one. Now we're going to add actions. All right, so we're going to give this alert controller the ability to do stuff. So we're going to go alert controller dot add action. All right, let's narrow for that one here. Okay, same thing. All right, we're just going to hit return or enter here just to get that auto completed. Then we're going to go parenthesis, and there's only one method here for us, and we're going to use that one. Okay, so like we did before, this just kind of fills in some of it for us, and we just have to tab through and add different items. Okay, so this is going to be the action. Okay, so the title for this one should be something that identifies that if you press this button, something's going to happen. So we could say, add college. We could say press here, whatever you want to here. I'm just going to go ahead and say press here. Why not? Okay, style, again, just hit enter on that, and then we can go dot default. All right, and then tab over to the handler. So again, as I'm going through, I'm just tabbing to these different fields. Hit enter, all right, and then your screen should take the shape of what you see on right around here. Okay, so double check that yours is like that. So again, we're starting, you've got a curly brace here, and then we've got two parentheses down here, one for this one, and then one for that one there. Okay, so that's why you got two here. All right, so now let's go first to this one where it says UI alert action in the parentheses. Okay, so what we're going to do in that blank there, we're just going to go ahead and type out action. Okay, so basically that's just going to set the stage here. Let's tab over to code. Okay, and this is where we basically have to code these text fields. Basically we're going to take the information from the text field, we're going to add it to the college array, and then we're going to reload this table view. All right, so we got three things we're going to do. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go let college text field. Okay, so go ahead and type that out. We're going to set that equal to alert. I'll explain. Let's just type it out, then we'll walk through it. Dot text fields. All right, and then we're going to go square brackets with the number 0 in there. Let's put an exclamation point right here. All right, and then we'll go space as UI text field. So what we did here is we created a constant called college text field, and we're setting it equal. Actually, I'm sorry, guys, this should be alert controller. All right, and then we're setting it equal to the text field that we set up when we made our alert controller. So remember right here, we added a text field to the alert controller. That's what we're talking about right here. The reason why we're using 0 is because, again, we only have one text field, and when you start in code, you don't start at 1, you start at 0, and then we're just casting it as a UI text field, just so we're being very explicit with it. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, all right, so basically we want to take whatever they type into this college text field and add it to the array. So we need to go self dot colleges, because colleges is the name of my array. Okay, if you called yours something different, just make sure you type that name here, dot append. All right, so append is how you add something to an array, you append it. And then in the new element string, we just have to put in what we are appending it with. So in this instance, we're using the college text field. Okay, so here Let's just type in college text field dot text exclamation point. Okay, so right here we're setting the college text field equal to whatever they type into the text field of on our alert controller, and then we're adding it to the array. And then the final thing we need to do inside here is we need to reload the table view. So that's why we had to make the outlet for it. So we're going to go self.college table view. All right, and then from there we will go dot reload data. So what this does is after we add this new information to the array, it reloads the table view. So basically this stuff gets run again, and now the college count is now expanded by 1 because we added to it. And then the text, all the text stuff just updates based on the college we added into. One final thing we need to do, all right, we're just about done here, is we have to get this alert controller to show up. So to do that, we're going to come below. So again, we have curly brace, 1 parenthesis, 2 parenthesis. We want to come right here. We're going to go self dot, oh, look at that, look at the text there. We're going to go self dot present. All right, and then we just have to kind of fill in the blank. So this one's asking what view controller do we want to present. So that's going to be the alert controller. Do we want it animated? Sure, so we'll go true. And then when we get to the completion, we can just type in the phrase nil. Okay, so let's go ahead here and let's give this a run and let's see what we got going on here. And then we'll stop this one at this point. And then the next step is working on how to delete information from here. All right, but that's first things first. We'll check this guy out to make sure we're in business here. All right, so a lot of code there in terms of just, you got to be very careful with the parentheses and the curly braces. So take your time, pause the video as much as you need to, rewatch things just to make sure everything's looking good. And obviously you'll be able to see, the errors when they show up here. All right, so let's give it a shot. So we got college list. I hit my plus button, add new to college, type new college below. Let's say we went and visited CLC. All right, we'll click on press here, and there you go. All right, pretty cool, huh? Press another one here. Let's say we went up to Wisconsin for the weekend, visited Madison, so UW, Wisconsin. Press here, and as you can see, so every time think about that code we put in there. So we're pressing the button, the alert controller is showing up. Here's that text field we made there. All right, so as we start typing in the different things here, when we press the button, again, it's reloading the table view because Michigan State's getting added to the array. All right, then now I'm going to reload it, and then that college shows up there. Okay, so pretty cool thing we can do. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we'll stop this video here. We're going to keep them separate for you just so we're not doing too much in one. All right, and the next thing we'll talk about is how we can delete colleges off of this list because maybe preferences change and you want a new college. But for right now, though, I think we got a good thing going. So I'll go ahead and, again, if you have any issues, let me know. Just so I'll come by and help you. All right, but if you're ready, go ahead and check out the next video on learning how to delete items. All right, guys.